The views expressed on the Own It podcast are that of Gunnar Esiason and his guests, and not necessarily those of the Boomer Esiason Foundation. Nothing in the Own It podcast should be considered medical advice. Such advice can only be given by a physician who is experienced with cystic fibrosis. The Boomer Esiason Foundation, Gunnar Esiason, and his guests cannot be held responsible for any damage which may result from using the information on this podcast without the permission of your medical doctor. You're listening to the Own It podcast, presented by the Boomer Esiason Foundation. Now, here's Gunnar Esiason.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gunnar Esiason, and thank you for joining us for episode 4 of the Own It podcast series presented by the Boomer Esiason Foundation and Gunnar Esiason. This podcast is made possible by an unrestricted educational grant from Novartis. I'm excited to get the Own It podcast series up and running again with our first episode of the new year. Today, I'm happy to welcome Julia Rae. Julia is 23, a CF patient, a senior at Fordham University, and holds the title of Miss Philadelphia 2015. If that's not enough, she's also preparing for the Rutgers Half Marathon this year and competing for Team Boomer. I think it goes without saying how impressive she is. Julie considers herself to be an advocate for CF patients, and I can tell you she's doing a really great job in that department. In order to remain compliant with the National Cystic Fibrosis Guidelines on Patient Interaction and Cross-Infection, Julie and I are using Google Hangout to conduct this podcast. Julie, I know I touched on this in the opening, but why don't you give our listeners a little bit about yourself and say hi?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, Gunnar. I am Miss Philadelphia 2015, and I've had some pretty cool opportunities to shine a spotlight on CF, and I'm looking forward to doing more of that as we take on 2016.
All right. Well, awesome. I want to get right into this pageant stuff right away. I definitely never met a pageant winner in my life. I was pretty familiar with the movie Miss Congeniality. It was definitely a guilty pleasure of mine when I was younger for some reason. I guess I loved Sandra Bullock. I guess that's definitely not hard to say. And I used to think the movie was hilarious. So I want to know, what is it like being crowned a pageant winner for an entire city?
Not going to lie, it's pretty awesome. I have great sponsorships in the city of Philadelphia. I won over $10,000 in scholarship money when I was crowned. And the glamorous part, I get dresses sent for events and my makeup and hair done when I hit the town, but it's also a year of service. So I'm serving the city of Philadelphia, and it's a lot of fun.
All right, so we'll get back to that service part in a minute, but I want to know, you obviously saw the Steve Harvey fiasco, right?
Oh, yes.
So I want to know what was going through your mind. I have to say I've never felt more awkward for anyone in my entire life.
Oh, my heart was breaking for those girls, for both of them, really, but I've been first runner-up before. And it's not the most fun place to be, and then to have the crown taken off your head on international television, probably not the best feeling in the world. So I was just so sad for everyone involved and mortified for Steve Harvey, but more heartbroken for the girls.
I think they handled it pretty well after the little incident, though. I guess all things considered.
In true beauty queen fashion.
Yeah, exactly. So a little bit more on the service here. As Miss Philadelphia, there's obviously a lot more to this than just the actual pageant itself. You make it seem like a full-time job. What are your responsibilities?
Sure. Well, the national platform for the Miss America organization is the Children's Miracle Network. So appearing at the hospitals is a large aspect of the job, something that kind of goes hand in hand with my personal platform, which of course is cystic fibrosis. So I've been working with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia my entire year, which has been really the highlight of the year for me. And I've been able to even keep in touch with some of the patients and their families, and that's the best part about the crown. I actually don't even wear the crown there. I just let them try it on all day.
That's pretty cool. So now when you go into the hospitals, obviously it's a little bit of an unsafe zone for someone with CF. How do you sort of protect yourself?
Well, the way we do it is I am usually in the Ryan Seacrest Voice Center at CHOP, and we have patients come down as long as they're not under precautions, and I typically send up cards for all the CF patients on the floors, and we have a closed circuit radio station at CHOP that I'm able to talk to everyone on, and I sing for them too. So
that's pretty cool. That's actually pretty awesome. All right, so now on top of all this, you go to college. So how have you been able to do all this and manage your CF, manage your studies, and really everything that goes along with just basically your entire life, I guess?
I'd be lying if I said I got it right all the time, but I love treatments on the go. I'm constantly doing my portable nebulizer in the car, and I think the biggest thing for me is making my health the priority, because then everything else can follow. So that's something I've learned through the years, though, for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. The health has to be the priority, and mobile treatments are easily one of my favorite pastimes, I think, in a car ride. So now, what are you studying in college?
I'm studying communications.
Cool. And have you thought about what you want to be when you grow up? I was personally, I wanted to be an astronaut. That didn't work out exactly as I planned, but I can still dream.
Yes, well, my dream is probably equally as unrealistic as astronaut, but my passion is in the arts, so acting and singing. I think I went for communications to be a practical artist as a fallback, but definitely getting back into acting and recording my own music. So.
All right, awesome. How'd you get started in that?
I've been singing since my mom says since I learned how to talk. I lived in LA for a couple of years recording music professionally and before college, so I've been pursuing it really my whole life, and then I wanted a college degree for sure, so I kind of put it on the back burner.
All right, cool. Well, I have to tell you, you did a way better job with the Sing for CF than I did. Fortunately, I sound like a dying animal when I try to sing. Okay, so I have to imagine being compliant with your treatments is very important to all this. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. My doctor, Thomas Scanlon, I've been with him my entire life. He and I have a great relationship, but he also commends me for my level of just adherence to my care. So I am the biggest proponent of staying compliant. It's so important in order for all of us to kind of pursue our biggest dreams.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think compliancy definitely opens the door to tons of opportunities, and without that compliancy, those opportunities just kind of fall by the wayside. So that's what we like to do. We like to do our treatments. So now here's a big question. This is something that I always get. How did you manage the transition from high school to college? This seems like a major stress point for a lot of CF families, and it definitely is. I remember my transition to Boston College was definitely not the easiest. I had a few bumps in the road, but like I always take adversity. Those are learning moments. Those are moments to grow, and I sort of just want to get your opinion on the transition as well.
Yeah, it was a huge learning moment for me as well. It was the first time I was living with other girls, so that was a big transition in itself, but it kind of made the fact that my peers didn't have to do treatments, that was more in my face than ever. So admittedly, I started slacking on my treatments right when I moved to New York City, and I ended up in the hospital my first semester, so I definitely learned my lesson pretty quickly.
Yes, you learned the hard way. So you did live with a roommate your freshman year or your first year in the city. How many roommates did you have?
I had 3.
Oh, you had 3 right away. Wow. So that's definitely a pretty significant adjustment. I only had 1, so I can't even imagine what it must have been like. Now, more towards the academic side of things, do your professors know that you have CF, and is that part of your relationship with them?
Yeah, initially I was against the idea, but my parents just forced me to talk to my advisors and my deans and my professors about CF, and I'm so glad they did, because that first semester I was in the hospital right before finals, but I was able to finish the semester strong because they knew going into it. Yeah,
I totally agree. I actually neglected to talk to my professors about it my first semester of college, and it sort of came back to bite me. So by the second semester, everyone sort of knew what the deal was. So now, what advice do you have for people with CF that are about to go into their freshman year next fall?
I think taking it all in stride is the most important thing. It's a huge transition for anyone, and then layer on top having to deal with cystic fibrosis is just kind of an extra stress. So definitely stick to your treatments. I mean, as tempting as it is to start slacking, you'll be better off in the long run if you just stick them out. It is what we have to do, and you'll be able to enjoy every independence and freedom that comes with college more if you are compliant.
I totally agree. The best piece of advice I ever got before heading off to college was to make sure that I always hit both treatment sessions during the day. I also sort of learned the hard way that if I didn't listen to that, I would be, hating myself the next morning. So, no matter what time it was, I was always getting that second treatment session in, whether it was right before dinner, right after I finished my work, or, right after I was getting home from going out or something like that. I always make sure that I got it done whenever I needed to do that. So a little bit more about going out and stuff like that. College definitely revolves around the social scene to some extent. What has that been like for you?
Yes, and my friends would probably call me the most social person that they know. It doesn't take much convincing for me, but I also know that it takes a bit more for me to recover if I'm, even those nights where, especially for girls, we get home, but then we end up staying and talking until 4 a.m. I think just knowing yourself is the best way to go about it. I'm friends with a lot of professional dancers, and the same goes for them. Like if they have an audition the next day, they know when they need to be home and in bed. And I just think knowing your limit, I don't know, like that sounds horrible, but is the best way to go about it. Just being conscious of and being responsible. I guess it just comes down to being an adult and knowing when to head home.
Well, yeah, certainly what college is all about is definitely finding out how to be an adult and where, like you said, your limit. But I like to say there's a fine line between, pushing yourself a little too hard and knowing what is within the realm of responsibility. And I think really one of the only way to really find that out is by I guess, experiencing it. So a little bit more on the social scene here. I get tons of Ask Gunnar emails through my blog. My super original email address where you can ask Gunnar blog questions is actually Gunnar's blog at Esiason.org. It's super original. And these questions all have to do with the dating scene. For some reason, people think I'm like Dr. Love. So I want to get another opinion on this, and so I'm not really the only one sharing my methods. So here you go. You ready to talk about this a little bit?
All right, let's do it.
All right, cool. So let's say you're on a first date. Are you open with your date about you having CF, or are you open about being Miss Philadelphia? I feel like being a public figure definitely might complicate some things.
For sure. I guess it's just based on the person and how we met, and but typically I don't bring it up on the first date. It is funny though, if I know that they've Googled me, I know that they know. So it's kind of this elephant in the room, but there's a level of seriousness that I think talking about CF brings to like the beginning of a relationship that I think is unnecessary. So I usually don't bring it up on the first date unless it comes up naturally and they ask me a question that leads to it. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think it's definitely something that, while it is a part of me, I definitely don't think it's the full story. Right. But like you said, a simple Google search can really yield a lot of information on the internet out there. Which is good. It's a good and a bad thing, I think. Yeah, for sure. Like I just read your most recent blog. It's not a cookie cutter disease, so it's hard because when people Google it, it seems that way, I think, and they sometimes may not understand that there's so many layers of complexity. Yeah, exactly. I really think in order to know what the disease is like, you actually have to talk to someone with it. It's not, a Wikipedia search will, it'll scare the hell out of you. So that's a very good point. All right, so now do you look for sympathy from a potential suitor since you have CF, or do you think you deserve to be treated like anyone else? Ooh, definitely no sympathy. I don't really like. I mean, I initially was never open about CF because I never wanted anyone to discount me or think that I wanted pity by talking about it. So I for sure would never discuss it with a potential suitor for that reason. But I think the best reaction that I've gotten from dates, and the one that I respect the most, is when they kind of find it interesting and cool that I've chosen to be an advocate for it. So I think that's the reaction that I prefer.
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, like when people ask the right questions. I think there are definitely right questions and wrong questions, and the people who really nail the right questions to ask are the ones that you can tell are sort of interested at least. All right, so do you think certain people are more compatible for people with CF, or do you think anything can work?
Gosh, that's such a good question. I'm sure there are people that are more willing to pull back the curtain, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
more than others are. So I guess that person would probably stick it out longer. Someone that's patient and compassionate and I guess just willing to take on that battle. I mean, for me, I think no one's tomorrow is guaranteed, and everyone has their own battle, and ours is just there and out up front. We're upfront about it, so I think it would be unfair for people to discount a CF patient because they have CF, if that makes sense. But I understand how overwhelming it can be.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. I think compassionate people are probably a little more understanding in that respect, but like you said, it definitely shouldn't be a giant X on our on our resume, so to speak.
Right.
All right, so enough of that. Let's make a seamless transition here to some very important people in your life, your brothers. Here at the BEF, we are featuring CF siblings. My sister actually, who doesn't have CF, just spearheaded that effort with a podcast at the end of January, talking about her role in my support system in the fight against CF. So I want to know what your relationship is like with your brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so close. I talk to both of them every day, especially when they know that I'm going out.
Mm-hmm.
They like to call while I'm out. And my brother Will has CF. He's 2 years older than I am. And we share a bond by virtue of just sharing the battle against CF. And my oldest brother James does not have CF, and he is just, by virtue of having 2 chronically ill siblings,
Mm-hmm.
so compassionate. And when I'm in the hospital, I mean, he goes above and beyond, and especially not only for me, but like the nursing staff. So they're very supportive of the fight, and I think it's only brought us closer as siblings.
I totally agree. My sister once actually had a really mature moment when we were really young, and she told me that, well, Gunnar, it's us 2 versus the world. So I have to imagine that you must feel the same way with your brothers. But more about that, I'm as an older brother, it's an unwritten responsibility to be extremely protective of my sister. I feel like she always has a boyfriend, and I really only like a handful of them. So I can only imagine how protective they must be of you, given that you have CF.
Yes. Gosh, you're lucky that she's lucky that you've liked a handful of them. I haven't gotten any that they like. They're very protective of me, and I really wouldn't have it any other way. I love having 2 built-in bodyguards.
That must be nice. All right, so now you're thinking about running the Rutgers Half Marathon. When is that?
It is April 17th.
Oh, wow, it's actually.
I'm actually glad it's not a video, because I squeezed in my training run for today before this. So.
Oh, well done. That's awesome. I'm definitely jealous of your desire to run. Personally, I hate running. I find my exercise and cardio in different ways. But a half marathon, that's really impressive. Why would you ever want to do that to yourself?
I mean, I find myself asking that same question as I start training, but I don't like running at all either, but I also don't like CF, and so I figured I might as well just power through, and I'm using it as a metaphor for the fight against CF, and just kind of trucking along, and figure might as well improve my lung function while I'm fighting for a cure.
Awesome. Now, is this your first half marathon?
Yes, it is.
And then do you have any more goals beyond that, or do you sort of feel like you're going to fall in love with running?
Yeah, I mean, just a week and a half into training, I understand the runner's high. So my goal is the New York Marathon in November. So.
Wow, that is.
Talk to me on April 18th, though.
Okay. We'll see how the Rutgers Half Marathon goes.
Yeah.
We'll baby steps. You gotta walk before you can crawl here. Do you have a goal in mind as far as time? Or are we still too early in the process here?
We're just trying to make it to the finish line here.
Just trying to finish. Okay, that's good enough of a goal for me. All right, so to our listeners out there, I want you guys to make sure that you check out Julia's fundraising page, and we'll have that link in the write-up that goes along with this podcast. So before we let you go here, Julia, we like to do something fun with our guests. We do a little game of word association and then trivia. All right, so you ready for that?
Yes.
All right, cool. So for the word association, so I'm going to give you a word, take a moment, think, and then whatever the first phrase or single word that comes to your mind is, just give it right back to me, all right?
Okay.
Okay, so the first word is vest.
I'm really good at this game, I swear. I don't know, that's what I did as a child, so that's what comes to mind.
Nice, okay. Oh, that's cute. Okay, next word is antibiotics.
Gross.
Okay, lovely.
I guess I could have said life-saving.
Okay, we'll take that one too.
Annoying as a singer.
Okay, annoying. First person to ever think her lungs are annoying. Those are organs that make your body.
Oh, I thought you said cough.
Okay. Okay. So all right. So we'll redo this here. Okay. So so lung.
Air.
Air. Okay. Great. All right. Steve Harvey.
Oh, I can't. Bad host.
Bad host. Okay. Well, someone's salty. All right. Okay. Now for the trivia here. Are you ready?
I'm so ready to redeem myself now.
Okay, so I told you I was a huge fan of Miss Congeniality. I hope when I told you that when I first contacted you that you looked up the movie or at least saw the movie again, so we're going to dive into this.
Okay.
What is Sandra Bullock's character's name in the movie?
Oh, Lord. I know she's Miss Rhode Island, right?
No.
No, she's not even Miss Rhode Island?
Nope.
Wow. Gunnar, you're... Oh, wow. I have no idea. Wait. No, it's not going to come to me.
Okay, so the next question was actually what state does she represent? So
Oh,
it's not
I
Rhode
already
Island.
got that wrong.
we have 49 other possible states and a district, or I guess whatever they call it.
Okay. What is she? Miss... Oh, gosh.
Just think about the kind of person she is in the movie.
She's not Miss New York.
No, but you're getting closer.
Oh, she's Miss New Jersey.
Yes, there you go.
Wow, I'm pathetic.
Okay, so we really struggled through that part. I'm going to let you know that you were actually the first person to ever get a trivia question wrong on the podcast.
Oh, great. I'll take that with me. That's
so
great.
maybe we'll have you on another time to try to redeem yourself. But before we let you go here, is there anything that you want to say to our listeners and maybe redeem yourself for the travesty that was the trivia portion of this
No
moment?
pressure. Just check out my Facebook page, and I'll be blogging about my training for Team Boomer, and just keep track, and hopefully I'll see you at the New York Marathon in November.
All right, awesome. Well, we definitely look forward to that. Thank you again, Julia, for taking the time to talk to us today. And I'd also like to thank Novartis for making this possible with an unrestricted educational grant. Remember, you can always send me an email at gunnarsblog@esiason.org if you want me to blog about anything specific, or I guess podcast about anything specific. I'm not sure if podcast is even a verb, but I guess I just made that a verb. And this has been Gunnar Esiason for the Own It podcast series presented by the Boomer Esiason Foundation at GunnarEsiason.com. Thanks for listening, and breathe easy.
You've been listening to Gunnar Esiason's Own It podcast. If you would like more information on cystic fibrosis or the Boomer Esiason Foundation, please visit our website at www.esiason.org.